Hi, I'm Dr. Cass Spencer-Smith of Private Practice Ninja, and today we're going to be talking about whether or not you should go full-time in private practice. Spoiler alert, full-time private practice is not for everybody. It may not be for you, it may be for you. And when I'm coaching doctors, physios and osteos, I often find that when people are making the leap from part-time private practice to full-time private practice, there's usually a common reason behind it, and it ain't money. It's normally that people are frustrated by their current systems and processes and the bureaucracy that's holding them back, or maybe they're working in a situation that simply doesn't allow them to grow. Perhaps you've dabbled a bit with your own gig whilst working for somebody else or still working in the NHS. Maybe you're a little bit fed up of giving half your money away to that physio practice manager when you know you can't grow beyond the role that you're in. In my case, I stood up to a bully and basically got myself kicked out of a job. I'm not advocating you do anything that drastic, but for me, the real advantage was it taught me how to grow a private practice flipping fast because I had no income and it was a bit scary. There are easier ways to do this. If you're feeling restless, chances are you might be ready to take the leap. But I want you to ask yourself these questions first. Ask yourself honestly what it's going to cost you to go full-time in private practice. Now, you could be working in a clinic that somebody else sort of books the rooms and they provide the admin and you give away half your income. It could be that you're part-time working in the NHS, and it's very important that you don't swap a good income for another income that doesn't have securities, it's a bit less and lots of hassle. So it has to be worth it. What does it cost to work in private practice? Well, I recently recorded a vlog about it, so check it out. But in short, you have to think about what it's going to cost you to hire your room, medical administration, medical billing, indemnity, marketing, and all that other stuff. It adds up. Ask yourself, what else are you going to be giving up by going full-time? Now, you've got to pay the bills, but there are other things as well, aren't there? So if you're working in the NHS, you may well get maternity pay, paternity pay, sickness benefits, that all-important NHS pension, which has recently kicked many of us in the teeth. And you have to think about those costs. What's going to happen to you if you no longer can work? Do you need some income protection that's going to really seal it down? Are you going to have to start funding your own pension? That stuff costs money. And you also then don't have the security of the regular income. So what else do you need to think about besides what you could be losing financially? You might be losing out on your ideal working space. If you're a physio or osteo and you're working in a clinic, you may have some desirable workplace things. So for example, you might be attached to a gym, or it could be that you have some strength and conditioning equipment in a large space. When you go solo, it's much harder to find those areas on your own without big costs. You can buddy up with other people, and that's often a good thing to do, but beware that you may also have the issue about who gets the room and what days, and basically squabbling over who's the boss. You might also be losing out on referral sources. If you're working in a big clinic, there may be some relationships with consultants who refer to physios. And when you step outside of that, you may lose some of those relationships without realizing it because those people were more allied to the clinic than they were to you. The other thing you have to think about is what happens when you leave. Is there going to be a restricted covenant in place that means that you can no longer work with those consultants for a year or two, or sometimes they're even defined by a geographical area. So you've got to read the small print. You might also be losing out on favourable contracts with health insurers. It's easier to attract slightly better money if you're a physio or osteo practice than it is if you're a singleton. And when you leave those situations, sometimes what happens is that the insurers say, well, you've gone solo now, we're not taking on any more solo people, therefore you can't see our patients. The flip side to that is that sometimes it's not a bad thing to shrug off some of these poorly paying insurance companies and just give them a big old elbow. And you can choose to do that if you work on your own. You might find yourself a little bit lonely. Do you know, this is something I hear frequently from consultants as a reason why they don't want to leave their NHS corner. They fear that they're not going to have their buddies around them. And I say, frankly, you're just lazy. To be an effective consultant in private practice, you need to form good referral relationships and also work with colleagues in MDT type situations. It's really important you don't work in a silo, so frankly, get off your arse and go out and make some mates. Ask yourself, am I the right kind of person to go full-time in private practice? You need to be able to handle uncertainty because there's absolutely no guarantee that patients are going to book in to see you. Sorry about that. But the truth is that when you work for yourself full-time and you develop a way of marketing what it is you do to patients and referrers, you're actually far more in control than you realise. And it's quite refreshing to know that when people come to see you and you're building a practice, that you've created that and no one else can take that away from you. You might think that you're not naturally a sort of self-promoting type of person. Do you know what? Neither was I. But you have to go out and speak to people and tell them what it is that you do and how you can help patients. You'll get over that because we all did. Unless you're some kind of massive introvert, you're going to succeed in private practice full-time. But if you're not prepared to put in the effort and go out and you use your "I'm shy, I can't talk about what I do" as an excuse, you'll be eating pasta for a long time. The buck stops with you because you're always ultimately responsible for your patients. So if you're planning a nice trip to the Maldives, you've put a hip into a patient, it dislocates, guess what? You'll get the phone call in the Maldives. The good news is that you can buddy up with other people, so it makes that kind of transfer of risk less onerous. You might be feeling a bit, the NHS trained me. Should I really leave it? Sometimes what happens is that well-meaning members and family and friends kind of guilt trip us a little bit and say, you can't leave the NHS, you're going into the dirty world of private practice. Have you ever had that? I used to get that. I know that private practice is the only way that I can take care of my sports patients in the way that I want to. So you have to be prepared to get over those awkward questions with family, awkward questions from friends, people who think that actually the NHS is everything and you should stay there. And don't get me wrong, the NHS is a flipping marvellous institution. But also when you step out of a consultant role in the NHS, it gives somebody else a space to move into. Let's get to the good bit, the advantages of going full-time in private practice. The first thing to remember is you don't have to do it the way it's always been done before. When you're in private practice full-time, you get to choose the patients you want to see and treat and how you see and treat them. So if you're a physio who's previously worked in a clinic and they've only ever had hour slots and half-hour slots and you want to treat somebody for 2 hours, go ahead, knock yourself out, good on ya. Now I'm going to say the dirty word, money. I'm not someone who's particularly motivated by money. I like spending money, but often I just want to do a job really, really well. The great news is when you're successful in private practice, your income can far outstrip anything else you would be able to achieve in the NHS, in someone else's practice, with a little bolt on here and there. You get to do a job the way you want to do it and earn a flipping great living from it too. So, have you got what it takes to go full-time in private practice? If you're looking to make the leap, come and have a chat. I'm at css@privatepracticeninja.tv. I'll see you next time.